Today on No Nonsense, Life and Death at the Crossroads, April 6th, 2018. A bus carrying the Humboldt Broncos hockey team was T-boned by a transport truck, killing 16 players and coaches, a young broadcaster, the team athletic therapist, and their bus driver. Number 16, Caleb Dahlgren, survived, but barely, and against all odds. Now he shares his story in a book entitled Crossroads. It is both a literal and a figurative description of what nearly killed him and what set him on a path to a new life. Caleb, it's just so great to have you with us today and see you sitting there looking so happy, healthy, strong. It's
Thank you.
wonderful.
No, thank you so much for having me on here. And it's an honor to be talking to you, Senator Wallen, and all those amazing things that you've done for the community and the world is truly incredible. So for me to be here talking to you is an honor.
Well, back at you, because when I read the book, I was blown away too. We've all got hockey players in our life, but you're a very, very special one. Now let's just give everybody the update. You finished your 3-year degree at York University. You're in Toronto today. That's where we found you. And now what? What's next?
Yeah, so I just finished my commerce degree at York University and graduated from York men's hockey program, which is pretty cool too. And now I'm on my way to Canadian Memorial Chiropractic College in Toronto and becoming a chiropractor. So I have a 4-year doctorate here coming up and looking forward to starting this coming up August 23rd, pretty soon.
And would you like to move to Wadena and become a chiropractor there so that I could come and see you?
That'd be pretty cool. I'll move there. I'll hang out, be in a small town vibe. I like that.
Yes, you started out in a small town too, and then Moose Jaw, and then Saskatoon, but you were really driven to go to Toronto because of one of your coaches who unfortunately lost his life in the crash. But he was there. He had been a York Lion, and that was really a big draw for you.
It was huge. When I look back on, I messaged York in the summer of 2017, so that's before my season, being like, hey, I'm interested in coming. I've heard about your program. And I didn't really know until I actually went to Humboldt that our assistant coach, Mark Cross, was a former Lion and a 5-year Lion, and was like assistant captain for 3 of his years, academic All-Canadian. Like he had all the things that I was looking for in my university experience too. And so when I started talking to him about where I wanted to go in the following season for university, he said, why not York? I said, well, they're actually one of the top ones on my list. Like I like their programs. I like that they're located in Toronto. I like that they have a good hockey program. And he's like, well, no, you got to go there. We're going to get you to York no matter what. He's like, you're good enough to play. You have all the skill, the talent. But he's like, more importantly, you got the character. And that's what they're looking for people like you. And so he like kind of guided me through the process. And he was the one who just kept pushing York on me. I was talking to other schools as well at the time, but he was saying, you got to go York. You got to go to York. And so I finally committed. It would have been before the crash. And he was a large reason behind that. And it was due to his experience, his time. And he really helped shape me into the person I am today. I really had a great relationship with him.
There was this scene in the book you described where you're lying in the hospital bed and no one knows what, how or if you're going to survive in the long run. And you're telling your dad, you got to text York. You got to tell them I'm coming, that they shouldn't give up on me.
Yeah. And this is a mindset, I think. For me, it was more, I had to have a goal and I had to work towards something. And I wanted to go back and honor those who aren't here, but also to recover and go back to my happy place and where I felt most comfortable.
We see a bookshelf or something behind you there. It's hard to see in this tiny picture. When you go from Saskatchewan to Toronto, what do you take with you? What's on that?
Well, you take quite a bit. I took probably a lot more than I should have. I took a U-Haul, so a little bit too much. But I definitely took some things that really mattered to me. And one of the things was the believe sign. And this means a lot to me because it was actually the slogan that was used for my personal trainer, Chad Martin, who passed away, and also used for the Humboldt Broncos crash aftermath. And it was our slogan that we had. And so it has double meaning to me. And I think it's also great to believe within yourself. And it's a constant reminder that sometimes life is tough and things get thrown your way, but to truly believe in yourself and know that you can conquer anything that you achieve and put your mind to. And then we also have Globe. I am a little bit of a traveler. I really enjoy traveling. And so for me, that was one of the big things I wanted to bring and also spice up the office a bit. Then down here, I have a pillow and it's made of my grandpa's t-shirt that I used to wear all the time. He passed away in February this year. So it's a little reminder that he's always with me. And it's a nice little decor too. And it's just really meaningful. And family photo in the other corner there is my parents, myself. Being an only child, family really means a lot to me. And I've had such a great relationship with my parents. And so I want to always have them close to me no matter what. And then a book, my own book, I guess. I have other books in there that I've really enjoyed reading and stuck out to me. And that's a little bit more decoration, but I say for the most part, like this star, I guess, you can see the star. And it's the 16, a little reminder of the 16 who I consider to be stars in my life before the crash and after the crash.
Yeah.
So
for
that's a
sure.
little bit of stuff in there that means
That
a lot.
I'm going to just put the book up a little closer for people to see here because they can't see it there. And it's called My Story of Tragedy and Resilience as a Humboldt Bronco Crossroads. And you are standing here actually at the crossroads of those two highways where the bus was hit. What kind of day was that when you went out to take that picture?
Well, it was quite an emotional day. I didn't really know what to expect standing in the middle of the intersection. And the fact that I don't remember the crash, I think helped me, to be honest. If I remembered it vividly and I remembered all the details, it would be a lot different, I think.
Yeah.
However, that I don't remember it, I wanted to create a picture that was powerful though. And I wanted the picture to say 1,000 words. So when people did see the cover, they're like, oh my goodness, is this actually where the crossroads was, where it actually happened? And I wanted that to show like family, hope, resilience, love, despair, hurt. I wanted to elect all different kinds of emotions. And I really wanted a sunny day. And for me, I wanted to be bright and sunny because I wanted to make positive of the situation. So something negative. I didn't want it to be dark and gloomy. I wanted it to be a bright, upbeat type of thing where I'm trying to move forward in the right direction and like crossroad in life and choose a positive route. So for me, that cover image took a lot of time, took a lot of willpower. We had talked to Nipawin RCMP to even close the intersection in the first place. So they blocked off all sides so there would be a car barreling through. And then on top of that, we had to do 2 photo shoots because the first time we actually didn't get a good enough picture. So I go back again a second time and do another photo shoot. So it was a long process, but for me, it was what I wanted from the start. And I wanted to create an image that truly was powerful.
One of the most powerful things in the book, and I'm sorry for those of you who haven't read it because it's a bit of a spoiler alert, but you've just referenced the fact that you don't remember anything. There's this scene on the bus and you're fooling around with your friends and you put your headphones on and then that's it. And in the book, you've got 4 or 5 pages that are just empty. April 6th, April 7th, April 8th, April 9th, April 10th. And finally, on April 11th, you opened your eyes and said, what's this? Where am I? Is this a dream?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. And I wanted to really, I'm very creative and I kind of really realized I'm very creative throughout the process. I always knew I had creativity in me, but in the hockey world, it's like, you gotta be kind of straight line type of thing. And so to actually bring out the creativity and let that space actually speak more than any words I could put in it, I thought was very, very powerful. And the fact that I don't remember it, it truly is a clean sheet in my life that I don't remember. And I wanted to really have that embody it and have the readers really feel what I felt in that time, where it was completely blank. And I had to fill in the details with little bits and pieces afterwards to really understand what happened in that time, and how I am where I am today. And so for me, it was very confusing. I woke up and I thought I was dreaming. I thought we played that game that night. I thought I got hit from behind and that's why I was in the hospital, but not that my team was in a crash and I lost 16 family members. It was definitely not that reason. And so filling those gaps were definitely difficult.
One of the EMTs, first responder, first on the site of the crash, came to the hospital to visit, and he recognized you. He was looking for some solace, I think, as well, and to connect, because that was very difficult for them as well. But he came in and he said, "Oh, that's Caleb. I recognize you. He described the story of arriving there, and you were trying to help your friends. You were trying to cover them with your jacket. You were trying to protect them. Um, and you were very rational. You told people, to be very careful when they put you on the stretcher, and you remembered to tell them you were a diabetic. And you were severely injured. How do you explain that?
I honestly don't know how to explain that. And the thing is, I don't remember it either. I don't know
Yeah.
how I was in that time, but the fact that I was on the scene and I was talking and I was moving in itself is hard to believe in a sense because I don't remember it. And it's called post-traumatic amnesia, or sorry, yeah, post-traumatic amnesia. And that's like a state that you're in where you're not fully with it, but you're still comprehending, still able to talk and engage in conversations, but you're not fully there. And at that time, it seemed like I was fully there. And so, yeah, there's really no way to describe it. But for me, I think it's something that I always will have questions about. And that's why I put in the book. There'll always be questions that are unanswered. And that's one of the questions that will always be unanswered. And I think that's okay to have those questions too. And I've accepted that. I think it's hard for people to get to that point of acceptance. But for me, I got to the point of acceptance quite fast and understanding that things aren't within my control and I have to focus on things I can control.
So describe to people your injuries at the time, which makes your actions there even more, I don't know, miraculous. I don't think there's another word. What did they finally diagnose you with?
So after a couple of weeks, we finally kind of got the full details of my injuries. And so I suffered a fractured skull and a puncture wound to my skull. I had this whole side of my head scalp degloved. I had broken vertebrae in my neck, broken vertebrae in my back, I think 5 in my neck, 4 in my back. And then I had large blood clot in my left arm and behind my right eardrum. I had muscle, ligament, and nerve damage in my back and my neck as well. And that was, I guess, also the biggest one was a severe traumatic brain injury. And this was an injury where I shouldn't be able to remember my name, how to walk, or how to talk. It was that severe. And if you looked at my image, you would think I'm in a vegetative state. But the way I was completely opposite. I was still able to remember things. I was different. I had a different personality throughout those days I don't remember. And I was still a little different personality until probably a month after the crash that I kind of became myself again and back to normal. But I'd say throughout that time, though, that you couldn't really tell I had that severe brain injury. You knew I had an injury, but just not that severe.
Your mom and dad described this, and then because all of this is put together with the views of those that were there and witnessed it, the nurses and your friends and that came to visit you. But your face was blank, was flat. You were kind of in this blank state, but you were swearing and being quite vulgar, which is not you.
Not at all. It's complete opposite. It was like swearing, sarcastic. I was like very direct and rude. Even like we had the prime minister come.
You got to tell this story. You got to tell this story.
Oh my goodness, I don't really want to tell a story, but okay. So Prime Minister Justin Trudeau came to visit us, and at the time, this is like in my stage where I don't remember. I still have no clue I met him. I would not even be able to remember it whatsoever. And so he came in to visit us, and he came in pretty quietly, which was nice. And at the time, before he even came, I didn't want to meet him, and I was pretty adamant about not wanting to meet him. And then I said,
and I think you were sort of saying he's not done anything for the West, and
I did say that. I did say that. I was like, he hasn't done anything for the West. I said, I think, quote unquote, what did he do for the West? And then Brady Cameron kind of chirped him too. So I was, at the end of the day, when I look back at it, I'm very grateful that he did come and showed his support, because it truly did mean a lot to us, my family, myself as well. And to have his support and even the world's support was truly incredible. And I couldn't be more thankful for it.
It was, just before we leave that, you also told his son, you asked his son if he played hockey, and he said yes. And then you said, yeah, but how many penalty minutes? So it's kind of like you're telling the prime minister's son to go out and become, a goon on the ice.
Yeah, I did. I told him to become a goon pretty much. He said he was a defenseman. He was like, tell me, Ali, I have a couple goals, couple assists. And I was like, okay, but like how many penalty minutes? And he was like, I said PIMS, and he's like, what's PIMS? I was like,
Yeah.
penalty minutes. How many penalty minutes? And he's like, I don't know, like, I don't know. And I was like, well, that means you're standing up for your teammates. So hopefully you get some more penalty minutes. So I pretty much told him to be a goon, but what can you do?
No, what can you do? And that was an incredible stage. I mean, as the doctor said at the time, and certainly subsequently, you shouldn't have been able to form a sentence. You shouldn't have known your own name. You shouldn't have been speaking or moving, and you were bound and determined to stand up. Like, this all comes from somewhere. And you were talking about Chad Martin, who lost a battle with brain cancer, but he was your kind of first trainer and coach. And you actually credit some of your recovery with how he taught you to train.
100%. Yeah. And when I look back to it as a child growing up, it was in such a transformative time in my life, in my teenage years, where he came in and showed me the way that pain is supposed to feel good and that you're supposed to actually use it for good. And a lot of times people use pain as a negative connotation, but for him, it was more of a positive, where it's like, okay, look, you're growing, you're getting better, you're getting stronger. This is helping you, it's propelling you forward. And so for me, that was kind of my method and thought process throughout this, was that I had to continue fighting through the pain, and things were going to get better in the long run. Right now it's tough, and yeah, it hurts, and yeah, it sucks, but it's going to get better, and in the long run it's going to help. And he really did mold me to the person I am. And throughout his time with cancer, he didn't even know he had it. I found out that he had cancer when he had 1 month left. And it was just the way that he carried himself. He was so infectious, positive, always upbeat, wanting the best for other people, never really about himself. And he would go out of his way. Like, he wouldn't pick me up every day from school at my house, because in the winter it's pretty cold in Saskatchewan, -40. You ain't gonna bike there.
I know.
You aren't gonna bike there, that's for sure.
No,
So
no.
the gym was about 5 to 7 kilometers away, and so he would come pick me up and take me to the gym. And that just shows what kind of person he was and how selfless he was. So at that time, though, he really molded me into the person I am today, and I give him lots of credit.
I want to also talk for a moment about your coach, about Darcy Hogan. He's got relatives in Wadena, so we know the stuff he's made of. The coach of the Broncos, and he had a core covenant. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I want to read this because he was a powerful force in your life. Family first. Be thankful for the opportunity to wear the Bronco jersey. Understand that we are building foundations for future generations with our words and our actions. Always have hope that everything is possible. Always give more than you take. Strive for greatness in all areas of life. That was your on the wall.
First thing you see when you walk in the dressing room is that core covenant. And it's a good reminder every day to follow and adhere to those principles and rules, because I really think it has nothing about wins and losses at all. It's strictly about being a good person. And I think that's what Darcy did as a coach. Was he did do the X and O's, but he also focused on the person and who we are as people. And I think I grew so much throughout that season. And I know for a fact that others did too. And that was such a transformative year for a lot of us.
He actually always talked about it, about paying forward, like you're having this extraordinary opportunity as a hockey player, and you're living with your billet families and they love you, and you're doing all this stuff, but you've always got to pay it forward. And there are big stories and little stories, but I want to start with the little story, which is you guys were all going to practice one day, but there was a big snowstorm, which happens, of course, all the time. And it was before a game, but he canceled practice and said, no, we're not going to practice. You guys are going to go out and shovel snow for those that need it.
And I think that was probably the best thing he could have done at that time for us as a group. And when I look back at it now, that's what I think. But at the time, I was like, what is going on? Like, we have a game tomorrow. This is our last game before playoffs. Like, we need to be ready and fresh and prime, because playoffs is going to be a battle too. And you get everything in a row. I was like, I don't know if this is right. And looking back at it now, it was the best team building activity we could have done. And I think the best one of the year by far was just going out and supporting our community and our neighborhood, and also putting a smile on people's faces, like seeing an elderly man wave at you while he's standing on his front porch, just saying thank you so much with tears coming out of his eyes. Like, things like that, or pulling someone out from the ditch. Like, those are the things that truly meant the world to me. And then all of us teammates having fun, throwing snow at each other sometimes, like making a good time out of it too. I think that was like such a special moment, something that I always cherish and remember. And something that really stood out to me too was that Darcy never came to the dressing room after a loss. After every loss, you normally have coaches come into your dressing room and either rip the team apart or say something that they don't want to say. Then the next day they take it back and feel bad. But Darcy, after every loss, when emotions were really high and he felt lost different things, he never came into the dressing room, never said anything bad, and he just kept his composure outside, and just did his own thing, and he kept it all to himself. And then he would come the next day with formulated thoughts and reactions to what he was feeling, and he would actually say what they were, but not react to the situation. He would hold it in and keep it composed. And so I think I really, really valued that as well. And that made me respect him even more as a person and as a coach too, was that fact that he was never going to say something that he didn't mean or that he wanted to take back.
And have you learned that? Is that how you operate?
Yeah, I've definitely operated from that standpoint for sure. And when things do get tough and times are tough and you do get irritated and up to that point, I always hold it in too now. And I take a step back and okay, will this matter in 5 years? Like, is this something I should be making a big deal about right now? And then even like with Darcy, I'd wait until I had my thoughts collected and everything composed into something that I can actually articulate better instead of just reacting to the situation. I'm trying to actually handle it, internalize it, make an informed decision, and then make my reaction.
There was another story. Tell us about you driving down the road in Humboldt and seeing somebody on the side of the road who was having issues. Tell us that story.
Oh, I love this one. So I was actually in Humboldt. This was right after our first exhibition game, and driving home from the rink, and I saw our super fan walking on the side of the road with his bike. And he's like one of the Broncos super fans. There's quite a few of them, but he was one of them. And so I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. And I saw him, and then I drove by and I looked like, oh, what? That's Dallas. So I kind of turn around and come back in and talk to him like, hey, like, what's going on? Like, do you need a ride? Is your bike broken? Like, are you all right? He's like, yeah, my bike's broken. He's like, I'd love a ride. And so he hopped on in, we tossed the bike in the vehicle, hopped in my vehicle. And on our way back home, I started talking. I was like, oh, so what do you do like in the winter if you're biking? Like, how do you get to the rink? He's like, oh, we have like this group home little bus that takes us to and from the group home people to and from the rink. And so
Dallas has special needs. He lived with
Dallas, he has special needs, lives in a group home. And so he's like, yeah, so we take this bus and it takes us to and from the rink, but sometimes he gets there like 5 minutes late. And sometimes it leaves like 5 minutes early because we have like curfews and all that. And I said, oh, that's interesting. And he was like, well, would you like me to take you to the games? Like, I'd be willing to take you, but you'd have to come like 2 hours early and wait an hour extra. I was like, my favorite part of the game is the first 5 minutes and the last 5 minutes. So the fact that you're missing that, I feel bad for you. And he's like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm in. Can I bring friends? I was like, oh, you want to bring friends? Well, then yes, bring your friends. If there's 3, as long as 3 more seatbelts are full and all the seatbelts are full in the vehicle, I'm not going to take anything more than that. But I'll take it all and I'll bring all your friends. So sure enough, Dallas, Shane, Morris, and Bernard all piled into my vehicle every home game. We'd jam out to tunes on the way there. We'd go through their roster first and we'd turn on a tune before we got to the arena. And then when we got to the arena, they'd all kind of disperse, do their own thing, usually throw pucks out for warm-ups, hang out a bit, chat with the guys, then hallways. And then after the game, they'd wait, talk to the people, getting like injuries fixed or changed or like that. And then I'd take them home, and depending on the win or loss, if we won, we're going to go to Tim Hortons, go through the drive-through and get something. And if we lost, it'd be some sad music on our way home, and either me getting ripped apart or my team getting ripped apart by them. They kept it pretty brutally honest. And so I think that's the best part about it, was like, if I missed a shot or I missed an open net, I'd hear about it in that vehicle for sure. And so, yeah, no, it's awesome. I absolutely love them. And those are the bonds and relationships that I think are indescribable. Like, there's no way for me to say the gravity of impact that they had on me, because they're truly life-changing people. And the fact that they have such a positive zest for life and even sport and just enjoy the smaller things in life really was something that opened my eyes. I have done with that kind of population before, with special needs. Both my parents are nurses by trade. So I grew up in that kind of area. I go and volunteer often with the residents, play games, porter, feed them. So I think that now looking back at it, that kind of helped me. But even with the group here and playing Special Olympic floor hockey every Monday with them was truly something special. And they all are on Special Olympic hockey team, except Dallas is with the Special Olympic swimming team. But Dallas still does stuff with the hockey. So it's pretty cool. It's really cool.
It's a great experience. My sister worked in this field, and we had a young woman, Betty, who's Down syndrome, who was in our life forever and ever. And she recently passed away, and her most favorite movie was Grease. So at her funeral, the soundtrack of Grease played, and when her when her friends and mates showed up from the group homes, they were all just dancing, everybody, because that was, they live life in a very special way, and it's a gift to us for sure.
It truly is. And we call them now the taxi crew. So that's my taxi crew. That I have.
Well, and you got the other guys on the team sort of involved in this too.
With the taxi crew?
Yeah.
Not really too much.
But
it's more
picking them up, I thought there was people would agree to go if you couldn't.
Oh no, that was for my other one. So I ran it would have been Mark Cross and I ran Humboldt Rec Hockey, which was a program for children in the Humboldt area to learn the game. So yeah, there's lots of guys who do that too. But taxi crew is more of a personal thing, but it's super cool to have that relationship with them today. And like you said, they bring different zest to life.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, now, I mean, we're on a roll here. So tell me all about Diabeauties and where that came from.
Oh, so this is a while back when I was 12. I wanted to give back to the diabetic community, and I was diagnosed with
first start out at 4, you were diagnosed, right?
I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at the age of 4, and at that time, it was very difficult for me to comprehend what life was going to look like. In the hospital, I didn't like it whatsoever. And in the book, I even said, like, I hate this doctor's house. I'm gonna throw this chair through the window so I get sent home. Like, as a 4-year-old saying that he hates this doctor's house, and you throw a chair through the window, like, that's not a good sign. And so I finally was able to go home after a little while. The parents got taught what type 1 diabetes would look like. And once I got home, I thought I was done with needles. I was home free, kind of like gone from that. And then within 20 minutes later, I needed another needle. And that started freaking me out. And it was really tough for my family. It'd be very difficult days. Like, I'd challenge them and say, you don't love me, you're hurting me. Like, why are you trying to hurt me? This isn't fair. And I'd play hide and go seek every time it was time for a needle, but I did not want to be found. I thankfully never ran away, but there's times where I probably felt like I wanted to run away and hide from this or to just get away from it. So then after a few months, I finally realized that I needed needles to survive. And for me, that was my medicine. That was what was going to keep me here on earth and keep me able to play hockey and have a happy and healthy life. And so I switched my mindset from this being something negative to focus on something positive, that I'm still able to still pursue my passions and dreams. Might be a little bit difficult or harder, but I'm still able to do that. So then growing up, I really didn't have that positive influence to look up to. People could think like Bobby Clarke. And for me, I didn't really know of him. And his era was before my era. And so I never really had that idol to be like, I want to be like you. And there was no YouTube either. So I couldn't look up Bobby Clarke highlights or anything like that. And so then I was like, well, I'm just going to keep on keeping on. And I'd have like lots of people kind of tell me to step aside from hockey or you shouldn't do this or you can't do that. Throughout all my career especially as being a diabetic, or even like, you can't have this Slurpee, you can't, and you just got to be able to give yourself insulin for it. Or you still can be a professional athlete. Like today there's tons, or I still could be an artist if I want, or an author, like things like that. Diabetes does not have to hold you back. And so for me, when I was 16, I helped my friend who got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And when I helped him, I found out that it feels great to help others and that I am able to share lots of my diabetic experience to help others throughout their struggles. And throughout that, I thought, well, why don't I do this for children? Like, I impacted my friend who's the same age as me and was newly diagnosed, like just little tips like carrying snacks in your pocket, snacks at your bedside, putting some little snacks in your vehicle just in case, checking your blood sugar before you start driving, like little things like that. And then I thought, well, I can do this for lots of children. Like, why don't I do this for children? So I proposed this idea to my parents. And I said, no, like, you're in high school, like you gotta go to university, you need to have good grades, like you want a scholarship, you should just keep it up, focus on this when you're done. So I wait until I was done high school and I was in Notre Dame. I was there for 2 years and I played for the Hounds. I was an
It's a
assistant captain my
famous
second
place. We
year.
should just say, I just got to stop you there because
Yeah,
Father Athel Murray and the team that came out of Notre Dame, like he is world renowned for the kind of not only hockey players but characters that he creates, people with strong character. So that was an important part.
100%. And that's why I wanted to even go to Notre Dame. Was just like the reputation
Yeah.
that they had and all the great people that came out of that organization and out of the school itself. And so I ended up playing hockey there for 2 years,
Yeah.
and it was very prestigious. It was an honor to be there and call myself a hound. And especially in my 19-year-old year, as assistant captain, I was going to my 20-year-old year, and I was going to be named captain. And at the time, I was with JDRF, which is a research organization for type 1
Yep.
diabetics, and they create awareness. And so I just didn't feel fulfilled. I was a part of the diabetic community, but I really wasn't what I wanted to do. And Wilcox is a town of 400, and nothing against towns of 400, but there's just not a big fan base there. And I really
Right.
wanted a big fan base for this program. So I ended up going out to my coach's office and asking for a trade that year, right at the end of the season. And it was a blindside for me to even think about it. And it was a blindside for him, even. He wasn't expecting it. And he asked why. And I said, well, there's just more to me. I said, I need to do more. I said, I don't feel fulfilled. And so I finally got traded, and when I went to Humboldt, I got a phone call from Darcy, and that rest is history. I said, hey, like, I want to start this program. What do you think? He said, well, write me up a draft. So I wrote up a draft and gave him like a proposal of this. And he said, yep, we're going to 100% do it. Like, I'm in 100%. And so I started a program called Dahlgren's Diabetes. And it's a program for type 1 diabetic children. And the whole idea is it to be a mentorship program, to be that support that I wanted, to just have someone to ask questions and to let them know that they can pursue their dreams and passions, that diabetes does not have to stop them. And so for me, that's what I wanted as a child, and that's what I wanted as a person, just to ask, like, what do you do on a first date when you have to check your blood sugar? How do you talk about that? Or what do you do when you go camping? How do you make sure that you have snacks with you? Or what do you do if you're going quadding out and you have no service or nothing? What do you do when you play sports? Those were questions that I had. I wanted to know, but I didn't have the answers. And doctors don't have the answers either unless they've lived through it.
Exactly.
So for me, this was the bread and butter, was in making the diabetics feel special. And I wanted diabetes to feel beautiful for their difference. And so what I did was I'd have the diabetes and their families get a pregame meal at Johnny's Bistro in Humboldt. Not sure if you've been there, but you should check it out if you haven't.
Yep.
And you've been there?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So they went to Johnny's Bistro, got a pregame meal. And then after that, they come to the arena, get complimentary tickets for them and their family, and they get to participate in the ceremonial face-off. So the diabetes got a jersey and would take the face-off with me and the captain from the other team. And thankfully, Logan Strauss, our captain, said, no, like, you take the draw. This is your program. You take the draw. I don't want the draw. So I was fortunate enough to do that. And then as they dropped the puck, the crowd would go wild. And when they got introduced, the crowd would go wild, and just made the diabetics feel special in a good way and different in a good way, compared to always like being looked at differently or ask questions like, what's on your arm? Or why are you poking why is there blood coming out of your finger? Things like that. Why do you have needles? Like things like that, where you do get.
Why do you get to eat a snack at recess and we can't?
Yes, exactly. Why do you get a cell phone and I don't? Just those kind of things that do add up over time. And so after that, they watch a game. And then once the game is over, I go upstairs and visit their family and chat with them about diabetes and things that I do on and off ice. And then lastly, I guess two more things. Lastly, second last, I go to their school and do a school presentation or classroom or hockey team. And then lastly, they go in a Facebook group chat, and so they connect with everybody. And they have my number. They can reach out whenever. I actually had a call last night with one of my diabetes. So it's just like things like that for me that truly mean the world. And you think you're helping them, but they're helping you twice as much.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what you figure out in life, is that it comes back tenfold. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So when you're lying in the hospital, recovering, that connection is still strong. You're talking about Bobby Clark from the Fires, or Max Domi, or George Canyon, country star. I went to Afghanistan with him. He's a great guy. But people with diabetes showing up there to support you on that part of your character in your life.
Yeah, and it was truly incredible just to have that kind of support and to see people who you idolize growing up, or people who look up to, or people who you even just consider to be friends. But the cool part about it is that they are all human, that we are all going through the same battle in the same way. And I think it's super nice to have those relationships with those people. And I still talk to them today. So I think that's the cool part, is that it's not just a one and done. It's the fact that we still can connect, still reach out, and still meet up.
You said that Haley Wickenheiser, and I think she brought Paul Brandt with her at one point, who's also a guy I really love and respect. But you said Haley was your most impactful visitor. What do you mean?
She, for me, was, I didn't expect to be as impacted by her, to be honest. But when she came in and the way she carried herself, I was very impacted. And I think it was because she brought her true, authentic self. She wasn't there to just say that she was there. She wasn't there to look good. She was there to help and give us her help and support. And I think that gets to show her true character and her true heart. And she came because she wanted to be there to support. She wanted to offer condolences, but also wanted to support us on this journey, knew that we were going to go through some difficult times, that she could be an outlet for that difficult time. And all the work that she's done, even with the COVID that you've seen, or the fact that she's
a medical school after being a champion. Yeah,
like trailblazer for women's hockey, medical school, philanthropy, all the stuff that I've kind of envisioned myself doing, she has done. And obviously, I'm not going to be an Olympic athlete. Never plan to be an Olympic athlete, but the other stuff like the doctor and the philanthropy, those are things in my life outside of sport that I really admired. And the way that she carries herself authentically throughout everything is something that I look up to as well.
One of the other visitors you had, Joe Sakic, you say your very favorite player of all time. You missed the first visit with him, but they arranged to bring him back. They kind of snuck him into the hospital, right?
They did, yeah. They actually snuck him into the hospital. So I don't know if that was really the right thing, but he was able to see, which was nice.
Yeah, I think it was nice. But he had lost many friends in a bus crash in 1986 of the Swift Current Broncos, not the Humboldt Broncos. So he really had a connection with you.
He really did. And I actually didn't realize that he was a part of that team until he told me. And he never really talks about it much with anybody at all. But one of the big things at that time was him saying that you gotta still be a leader throughout this process, and that if you're a leader throughout the season, you gotta be still a leader now after the season, and that things will get better, and to keep moving forward and to find that positive. And like, knowing him as a person, looking up to him as like a child, is like, I want to be Joe Sakic or Jerome McGinley. Like, those are my two kind of guys. I'd go with Joe Sakic or Jerome McGinley. And to see him in person, like have that chat with him, and to hear his kind of beliefs and thoughts around it. And he said, like, you gotta stay out of the crap. He said, like, alcohol, drugs, all that doesn't lead you anywhere good. He said, like, you got to take care of yourself, but you gotta make sure you take care of others too, and be that leader that you are. And that was really where it kind of stood out to me. Like, I was like, yeah, you know what? I do. I need to take care of myself, but I need to make sure others are doing all right too, and help the community heal to the best capacity possible, and help myself heal. And so that was a really pivotal moment in my healing process too, was meeting Joe and talking about, like, Mr. Sakic is someone who I still connect with today. And yeah, it's pretty cool. It's really cool.
You, the timelines here, that's one of the things that really struck me in the book. So the accidents on April 6th, and you left the hospital on April 27th and drove back to Humboldt. When, again, you shouldn't have been sitting or standing or thinking or walking.
Yeah, I went back on that Monday. So I got on the Friday, and then I got mid-afternoon Friday, and I wanted to see the class, my students I volunteered with, the grade 5 class. So I volunteer with them throughout the year, and I wanted to see the students. So I waited until Monday to go back to Humboldt. And the whole goal in the hospital was to go back to Humboldt as soon as I got out. I wanted to be there to support the community and help the community that I fell in love with heal, and just put a smile on people's faces, and just send my condolences and hug and say thank you for your support, and just little things like that. And so it was such an emotional day when I first went back, especially when I went back in the dressing room. The dressing room was very hard for me to kind of go in and see all that happened, like to picture all that happened and then go in there and see like the empty room, how everything was left exactly how we left that room, was is definitely weird and lots of emotions, and it felt loud in there, but it was silent. And
Yeah.
so I think for me, that was one of the hardest parts, was going back into the arena. And but even like seeing the people that I've seen every day, and even the radio station, Bolt FM, and Tyler, and sending my condolences their way. And yeah, it was definitely a difficult time. It was very difficult, but it was something that needed to be done for my healing, and I believe for their healing too. And I really wanted to support the community in any capacity. So I attended all Humboldt Bronco events I possibly could that summer,
Yeah.
and really like gave my all into the Humboldt community that summer.
You're the pastor, the team pastor, Sean Brandow, spoke at a couple of events in Humboldt, and he talked about, well, he actually referenced Jesus, but you know he was the real thing because he wore the scars. He had the scars. And that seemed to be a message that your wounds turned into scars, but they were the scars of a survivor, and from that came some strength.
100% for sure. And that you do always have scars in your life, and we have like wounds. We get like people die from cancer. You have people that have tragedies in their own life and lots of different situations. And we all carry these wounds, and how we heal these scars and what we want to do with these scars truly make us who we are as people. And we can either let these situations affect us, but no matter what, at the end of the day, you're always going to have that, like a situation on you. And so I actually have literal and figurative scars. And I think they're beautiful in a sense where they're reminders that why I'm here today and how I'm here today. And they help shape me into the person I am and mold me into the person I am. So moving forward from that, I know I can handle and conquer things for my life. Yes, there will be tough times. Yes, there will be situations where I'm in very, very tough spot. But I know that these scars are going to heal eventually as time passes, and these wounds will become a scar.
You got a T-shirt at one point from Kopitar from the LA Kings that said
Yeah.
on the T-shirt, "Enjoy the grind," and
Yeah.
then you used that message. You know, you probably still do today. What does it mean to you?
Ooh, I love this question because for me, enjoy the grind happened at the age of 4. I became enjoying the grind at the age of 4, and that was when I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. That was my first adversity in life, per se, was that being diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And my whole life has been a grind. So when I did get that shirt, it resonated with me, it connected with me, because we have our own, all have different grinds, whether that's sports, academics, work, relationships, volunteering. There's all different kinds of grinds in life. And
Yeah.
the idea behind the grind is to actually enjoy it and to really enjoy life, because life can be gone in an instant. And I saw firsthand, with my personal trainer, my teammate who passed away when I was younger. Even with
Dad
my
nearly
dad,
died. I mean,
my dad almost was another one. And so I
yeah.
knew I had all this way before the crash even began or happened. And so then, especially when the crash did happen, it really reiterated the fact that life is so special, and that we have to just enjoy every process of our grind in life, whether that is sports, work, school, whatever your grind is, to truly enjoy it, because it could be taken away and could be gone really fast.
The other thing you write about is being a celebrity, in for all the wrong reasons, but in fact for some of the right reasons. I mean, after this, the teams embraced you. You went down to, I think it was Washington, where the Capitals were playing the. Uh,
Yeah, they're playing Vegas.
Oh yeah, Vegas, right. And that, you know, you were getting standing ovations. You were out there speaking. Were you connected yet at that point in your own mind, or were you kind of going through the motions?
I feel like a bit of both. I think at the time I was connected to the moment, and I was in present and was thinking fully about that being in that moment. But then in the back of your head after the moment, you think about, if you could have done things different. You think about how would the other survivors think about this, how the other families think about this, how the ones who passed away think about this. And then you also think, am I doing this for myself? Am I doing this for others? Am I happy? And at the time I was happy, because giving back and was really helping me as a person. And I did tons of volunteering events, JRF walks, two different ones, and I did kids sports. There's like, I want to say like 8 different things I did in that month. And it was just like to give back and to help go back to Humboldt. And I think for me, that was therapeutic in my journey of healing. And everybody heals differently. And talking about it actually did help me heal more. And honoring those who aren't here and remembering them will help me in the healing journey. And so I think everybody heals differently, and accepting that everybody heals differently is huge too. And I found out pretty fast that we all do heal differently, and that what works for me might not work for someone else. What works for someone else might not work for me. And so I was present in the moment, but then at the time you do like sit back and you try to reflect. And I'm a very deep person, I'm very reflective. And so I try to really see what I can do better as a person and challenge myself too. And so at these events, I would challenge myself to be more engaged with the people that are there and to put smiles on their faces, because it put truly a smile on my heart.
The psychologists, and I think even your family, although your dad was pretty supportive on this, simply didn't believe you could be coping as well as you were. That there should have been more trauma and tears. And you responded by saying, but it's about gratitude, not anger.
Yes, and it is. I think the fact that there's 8 billion people in this world, and the fact that I had a relationship with those 16 that aren't here and those 20 on the bus is special in itself. And to have the gratitude for the time that we shared together, because you got to think back to all the people across rows in life with you and how they shaped and molded you into the person you are today. And those people on the bus shaped me in some way. And even with chapter 16, I try to take away something from each individual who isn't here that I can carry on in my life or I'll remember in my life. And so I really try to value that time that we share together, and that relationships are very special. I think they are the power of our life, is to have that connection with other people. So the fact that I had a bond with those 16 and the 29 on the bus is truly special, and I wouldn't change it at all.
And you take from this experience, yes, of course you were lucky, and of course you were courageous, but that you have taken the view that you living bigger and better is a tribute to those left behind.
Oh, exactly. The way I look at it is that if I wasn't here on this earth, how do I want the survivors to live their life? And that's a hard concept to even wrap your head around, to even get to that point. But I got to that point quite fast in the hospital. And I thought, especially when you have all the time to yourself in the evening and you're supposed to be in your downtime, your brain's going to start running to overdrive. And so I thought, like, how do I want to respond to this situation? And I thought, well, if I pass away, how do I want the others to respond to the situation? I don't want them to be happy. I want them to follow their passions and dreams, to really make memories, to enjoy life to the fullest, and to never leave a day where they had a negative day, to always find that positive in their day. And so for me, I wanted that for myself. I thought that if I was to do what I wanted myself to do, if I was still here and I passed away, I'd want the survivors to be happy and to enjoy their life to the fullest, and to take risks. And so that's what I have done with my life, is I've tried to emulate that. And I think it's been working out so far for me. I'm really happy where I am in life and happy with all the things that I have done.
Okay, Caleb, I've got to ask, because you've said it, take risks. So I got to say, about 2 months after you left the hospital, you got back on the ice.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's a huge statement of courage, or whether you were just crazy, given everything that could have happened to you.
Yeah, for me, I'd say it was home, and going back on the ice is home, and it feels like family, and it was home for me. And it's the same as walking, it's the same as skating. I'm able to walk, I'm able to skate, type of thing. And it was truly, when I stepped on the ice, I felt like there's 16 others out there with me. It didn't feel like it was myself. And it was very, very powerful time to be on that ice and to just have that open, quiet rink feeling, but also have it feel like there's tons of people watching on you. And it was, there's really no words to describe it other than feeling like home. I just felt happiness and home to be back out there. And I think that was really needed for my healing journey too, was to be back on that ice, to get my skates on, to get my head outside of the hospital, outside of physio, and just enjoy stick handling on the ice and hear the skates crunch beneath myself. And when I stopped to hear that little like sound it makes, and I hit the post, little ting. So those were the things that I really enjoyed and missed. And to have that was healing in my journey too.
And to be able to come to terms with not professionally or permanently playing hockey for the rest of your life, but you needed that moment to reconnect with, as you say, your home.
It was, for sure, yeah. And at the time, I actually didn't even really know where my brain was at. In regards, it was in June, so like they just told me that I had a severe brain injury and I shouldn't be able to write, talk, or walk. But I actually thought that they had the wrong image. At that time, I was like, well, if this is exactly like this doesn't correlate, then this might be the wrong image. And so I did end up training for that full year at York University to kind of get back to hockey. Never did take any contact, but like during drills and practices, I was able to like beat guys in races to the puck. I was able to still score on the goalie. I was performing quite well and at the U Sports level, and even had like coaches saying like, I wish you could play, we'd love to see you in the lineup kind of thing. Like obviously I was doing quite well, but it was just the fact that we didn't know about my brain. And even when I did tests, I still scored higher on the tests than I did before the crash. It was just weird. And so at that time though, in June, we really didn't know if my hockey career was done. It was more until the 2019 summer where I was like, okay, I know I'm done my hockey career now.
Yeah. But that hasn't stopped you. Here you are back at school, taking more education.
Exactly. And I think for me, this has been my path for quite a long time. When I was 13, I wanted to be a chiropractor, and being a hockey player, those two don't jive together. There is no school that has chiro and hockey together. It's one or the other. And I really wanted to do that. And so my plan was to play university hockey, go overseas to play professionally for a couple of years, and then come back and do chiropractic studies here in Canada. And so the fact that I just fast tracked it a bit, skipped the hockey part, and now my chiropractic studies is something that I'm truly looking forward to. And I'm really excited to start this journey.
And in the post-COVID world, you can start to travel again, maybe.
Yes, exactly. I think that'd be great too. Nice to just hopefully to go and see different areas in our world, because it's truly a beautiful world. And I absolutely want to venture, and I want new experiences. I want to meet new people, different cultures, different ways of life. I want to experience our world.
Live it big. It says on the cover of your book, it's the words of Wayne Gretzky, who, a guy we all love and respect. Crossroads, meaning the book, crossroads will change your life for the better. And I just want to agree with Wayne on that. It's reading this book makes your life better. So thank you for writing it, and thank you for being who you are.
Oh, well, thank you so much. It really means the world coming from you. And honestly, I can say the exact same thing about you and everything that you've done. You've really changed the world and my life too. So thank you for all that you do.
I just wish you all the best, and let's stay in touch. We'll call in about a year and see how, the chiropractic clinic in Wadena is coming along.
I love that idea. Sounds good. Okay. Thank you so much, Senator Wallen. I really do appreciate your time here.
Okay, thanks a lot. You take good care. Lots of love.
Thank you.
Bye.